Welcome back to Learner's Corner. Today I am here with an interesting video on Age of Elizabeth. So Age of Elizabeth, when we are learning English literature, all are very much familiar with Elizabethan period, and you all know that it is known as the golden period of English literature. So the reason is also, it is because of Edmund Spenser, Shakespeare, Philip Sidney, Christopher Marlowe. These people were living in this period, and Queen Elizabeth was very much supportive for these people to develop or create their masterpiece during this period. So that is why it is known as the golden period in English literature. So today's video I am going to focus on some other poets, those who were not major one, minor poets, those who were there in the age of Elizabeth. So when we are learning English literature, we should know about these poets also. They have also created best work in their career, so we should know who are they and what are their best work. So in this video I am mainly focusing on some of the other poets, those who lived in the Elizabethan period. So Queen Elizabeth I, so it is called, she is one who ruled in between 1558 to 1603. So Elizabethan period extended from 1550 to 1625. That is a time span that we are learning for the Elizabethan period. So the age of Elizabeth is not constrained to the period of Queen of Elizabeth. According to W.H. Hudson, Elizabethan period continued till the death of James I in 1625. So King James was also ruled during this period, but 45 years was ruled by Queen Elizabeth. That is the reason why it was given the name of Elizabethan period. So Elizabeth I's 45 years reign generally considered to be one of the golden period in English literature history. So that is an important remark or a point that we should know about Queen Elizabeth. She ruled for 45 years in London. It was a time of instant religious conflict. So during the reign of Elizabeth, there were lots of problems, religious problems existed in that country. So before the accession of Queen Elizabeth, her half sister Mary determined to re-establish Catholicism in England. So before Queen Elizabeth, her half sister Mary was there, and she was a Catholic, so she wanted to bring back that Catholicism in England. But most of the people were in Protestant belief, so they don't want to have Catholicism back into their country. So they were protesting, and they were having a problem. Religious conflicts were there when Queen Elizabeth was coming to the throne. So there were a violent clash between Catholics and Protestants during this period, means during the reign of Mary. So that was continuing in the period of Elizabeth also. But Queen Elizabeth was very much able to control all these kinds of conflicts that was prevailing in the country. In this year of 1559, Parliament passed Act of Supremacy and Uniformity, which were able to known as the Religious Settlement of 1559. So that was a step taken by Queen Elizabeth to control the religious conflict that was prevailing in that country. So Elizabethan period witnessed the Protestant Reformation led by Martin Luther King. That was also an important point that we should know. Then the major poets of Elizabethan period. So who were the poets? So we know that Edmund Spenser was there, William Shakespeare was there, Sir Philip Sidney was there, Christopher Marlowe, Sir Walter Raleigh, Thomas Campion, Sir Edward Dyer, then Sir Henry Wotton. These were the minor poets who were there in the Elizabethan period. Thomas Sackville, Thomas Norton, George Gascoigne, Samuel Daniel, Michael Drayton. So these were the poets, those who were there in the Elizabethan period, apart from the major one. So these Michael Drayton, who was lived in between 1563 to 1631, he interested in reading Greek authors and French sonnets, Italian poets, he was one of the important one, but not giving that much importance like Shakespeare or a Philip Sidney like that. So he is a famous poet of Elizabethan period. First work was a verse paraphrase of part of the Old Testament and Apocrypha, the Harmony of the Church. That was the first work written by Michael Drayton. So it was in the year of 1590. So it is a notable for the verse of Songs of Solomon. So 40 copies he was able to sell, but the copies were seized by the Archbishop of Canterbury. But Drayton was able to publish it again in the next few years, but it was not acceptable in the society. In some religious conflicts or some religious points were there, so the religious people were not ready to accept that book. That is the reason why it was seized by Archbishop of Canterbury. And in the year of 1593, the Shepherd's Garland, so that is an eclogue by Michael Drayton, Shepherd's Garland. It is a collection of 9 pastorals which include his own love sorrows under the name of Roland. So that is the importance of this work, the Shepherd's Garland, so that he had completed in the year of 1593. And one more thing, that is an eclogue. So it is a collection of 9 pastorals which include his own love sorrows under the name of Rowland. Then in the year of 1594, 64 sonnets published in the name of an anthology, Ideas of Mirrors. So that is an anthology published by Michael Drayton in the year of 1594. Ideas of Mirrors. So Drayton was the first to bring the term ode. So that is an important point about Michael Drayton. Michael Drayton was the first person bring the term ode. So ode is a type of lyrical stanza for praising or glorifying an event of individual describing nature, intellectual as well as emotionally. So that is what we have studied lots of odes by Shelley, Keats, and so many other romantic poets. So Michael Drayton was the first person who bring the term ode to English literature. That is an important one. You have to note down it. Michael Drayton was the first one who bring the term ode. So ode is a type of lyrical stanza for praising or glorifying an event or an individual describing nature intellectually as well as emotionally. That is what ode. Then the classic ode structured as strophe, antistrophe and epode. All these things you may be knowing that when we are learning really romantic poets. So when we are learning odes, we know that there are 3 types of odes: strophe, antistrophe and epode. So these things you know. So there are 3 lyrical forms of ode: pindaric, Horatian and irregular. That is also about ode. So in 1595, Endymion and Phoebe, it contains some interesting autobiographical elements of Drayton. Endymion and Phoebe is one of the important work by Michael Drayton. Once again, I will repeat that word, Endymion and Phoebe, that he had completed in the year of 1595. It contains some interesting autobiographical elements of Drayton and acknowledged the literary help from Thomas Lodge. Thomas Lodge is also an important person who lived in the year of Elizabethan period, and in this work Michael Drayton had acknowledged the help of Thomas Lodge. And in the year of 1593, The Legend of Piers Gaveston, that was another work of Michael Drayton. It is a historical work. It is about the English nobleman Piers Gaveston, a dedicated servant of King Edward I. So Piers Gaveston. So that is a work, a Legend of Piers Gaveston. The Legend of Piers Gaveston. That is a work by Michael Drayton in the year of 1593. It is a historical work and it is based on the nobleman Piers Gaveston, who was a dedicated servant of King Edward. So that is about Michael Drayton. And one more important work is there, that is what Matilda. So that he was able to publish in the year of 1594. So one of the Drayton's finest work was England's Historical Epistles. So finest important work of Michael Drayton is England's historical epistles that he was able to complete in the year of 1597. So I'll repeat once again that name, England's historical epistles. So it is a collection of verse letters by lovers, earned the title for Drayton as Our England's Ovid. So this work was able to give the title, or he was able to earn the title of Our England's Ovid. So Michael Drayton was known as Our England's Ovid. England's historical epistle was written in imitation of Ovid's heroids. So that is why he was known as Our England's Ovid. Then Polioblion was completed in the year of 1622, one of the longest work in English literature. Polioblion, that is an important work of Michael Drayton, Polioblion. So he was known for Polioblion, then England's historical epistles, then the legend of Piers Gaveston, then Endymion and Phoebe. These were the important work of Michael Drayton, and one of the other work was seized by Archbishop of Canterbury. That was his first work, and the name of that work was The Harmony of the Church, that he was able to complete in the year of 1590. That was the first work, and Polioblion completed in the year of 1625, and it was the longest work in English, one of the longest work in English literature. Then other important work, England's historical epistole. Then he was able to get the title of Our England's Ovid. So these were the things about Michael Drayton. And Polioblion deals with the varied topographical and historical celebrations of England's glories. So topographical and historical celebrations were narrated in the work Polioblion. He died in 1631 and buried in the Westminster Abbey under a monument with an epitaph by Ben Jonson, commissioned by courtier of Dorset. Commissioned by courtiers of Dorset. So that is about Michael Drayton by Ben Jonson. So Ben Jonson wrote the epitaph for Michael Drayton, and it was commissioned by courtiers of Dorset. So that is about Michael Drayton. I'll be back with other minor poets, those who were there living in the Elizabethan period. So hope you have understood about Michael Drayton. If you like my video, please subscribe it, like the button, and share it. Thank you. I'll be back with another video. Okay, bye. See you later.